Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the BJJ Foxcast. I'm your host, Alex Martinez. And with me today is a friend of mine, Jeff Cook, who is a black belt over at Allied Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And you're in Peoria. Sorry, I was going to say Surprise, but I knew that was wrong. But in Peoria, also a former Green Beret.
Yep.
Right? How many years did you do in the Army?
11.
11 years. Wow. Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Cheers, brother. Yes. So I want to get kind of into... I listen to a few of the podcasts that you do, and I want to get a little backstory. Just we'll kind of bounce around a little bit. But when did you start doing jiu-jitsu?
December of 2007.
Okay, and how did that come about?
I was bored.
All right.
So I was on my third deployment overall, my second to Afghanistan. My first deployment was to Iraq. And so my team I was on, we kind of got disbanded. And I had to go work at the 3 shop, the S3.
What's that?
The operations department for 3rd Battalion, 3rd Special Forces Group. And I was tasked with working the air aspect for my battalion. So all air going into country. I had to get my battalion to Afghanistan, and I had to get them back. Once I got in country, I had to deal with all rotary and fixed-wing aircraft to get supplies and my guys to their bases, including once I got them to their bases, continue to get their mail and other supplies sent to them.
Wow. Okay.
I also did tactical air assets where a team needed certain air for certain missions. I would go and coordinate to get air for missions with Blackhawks, Apaches. Not much of close air support, but Blackhawks, Apaches, Chinooks. I helped line all that stuff up.
Wow.
So on that deployment went from November of 07. So, it's a long time ago.
Sure, yeah.
November, December, January, February, March, April, May. Roughly May, June. I think June I came back from that deployment. So I started December of 07. And then I trained 3 hours every night, except for Sunday nights, doing no-gi.
Okay.
And I started no-gi. My first instructor is a guy named Peter Pitzilli. He was also a Green Beret, 6'6", Brazilian guy from Rio.
Wow.
And he's also a Green Beret. And he was teaching a class in a small boxing ring on Camp Vance on Bagram Airfield. And I got bored, but a couple of my guys, my soldiers I had attached working for me, were training with him. So I decided, hey, I'm going to go check it out and try to see if I can hold my own against my soldiers, if you will.
Yeah.
And I got my ass kicked. and the guys that were my soldiers, I felt that they shouldn't be able to kick my ass.
Right.
I'm a Green Beret.
Yeah.
These guys are whatever MOS that's not Green Beret, that's like supply or logistics people.
Yeah.
And they're out of shape and they're fat and they're still kicking the shit out of me. And I could easily bench press 130-pound dumbbells. Yeah. And that was my thing. I wanted to be big and strong.
Yeah.
And be able to ruck and run forever. So they started kicking my ass, and I said, I can't let this happen. So about 3 months later, I was kicking their asses, and then I really didn't stop. I haven't stopped training. So Peter would have to fly to go to other bases. He was a commo guy.
Gotcha.
Communications. And he would leave and go do operations with teams who needed an extra commo guy for an operation. He's also a sniper qualified guy.
Oh, okay.
It's called SODIC, Special Operations Target Interdiction Course. He was qualified for that, so he would leave and go help out teams. When he would leave, I would teach classes.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So I started teaching jiu-jitsu 3 months after I started.
So did he leave like a curriculum for you to teach?
Yeah,
or
no,
okay.
it was the same exact moves every week,
Nice.
in and out for 7 months. So imagine learning scissor sweeps every Monday, sweeps from the guard every Monday, attack from the mount every Tuesday, and that schedule for 7 months straight for 3 hours a night.
Wow.
Except for Sundays, and so you would really hammer down sweeps.
Yeah.
And so when I came back to the States, I think June, July, I came back and I competed at white belt with a gi.
Yeah.
Never did any gi in Afghanistan. And I didn't lose one match at white belt. I won every tournament I went to at white belt.
Wow. Good for you.
And I posted a picture online, and I don't have a white belt.
You don't have a white belt?
I didn't have a white belt long enough to want to keep it.
Oh, wow.
But I was a blue belt for about 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So I got my blue belt in 2008, and I got my purple belt in 2013.
Wow. Okay. So you're a blue belt for a while?
Oh, I was deploying.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
So I came home from that deployment. I went back to on my next deployment as a blue belt, and I brought 30 zebra mats with me. So I had the Army buy 30 zebra and made my own gym in Afghanistan. And I would train other soldiers on the post, on the base, to come to my gym certain nights a week, and I would teach them jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. And were you teaching the same curriculum that you learned off of different curriculum?
No. So my first coach is a guy named Greg. He's really well known in the special operations community. He's also one of the first 5 black belts under a guy named Hoist Gracie.
Yep.
And he handed out 5 at once, or I guess the 5 Americans. And then my other coach, John Crouch, was given his, not fifth, so John Crouch was 7th to get his black belt from Hoist.
Wow. That's cool.
So I stayed in the Gracie family with my coaches.
Yeah.
But Greg has a contract with a unit called, and he teaches guys that are in OTC, the operator training course.
Yeah.
He teaches them something called SOCP, the Special Operations Combatives Program. He's had the contract with them for a long time because fell in love with Gracie Jiu-Jitsu back in the 90s.
I'm sure, yeah.
So did the Rangers. So Hoist went out to North Carolina and started teaching that stuff to the unit. And then Greg being a student of Greg being a student of Hoist's, and Greg's from Asheville. He's got, he's from Asheville, North Carolina, so he talks like from North Carolina. So he just picked up the contract and ran with it for a long time.
And does he still have it today?
He still has it today.
That's awesome, man.
A buddy of mine, Trey, just took 3rd place in Master Worlds for Master 1, and he's coming out December, and he's a current instructor for and for another Air Force unit. I'm flying him out for a 2-day seminar to teach.
When is that seminar?
I'm lining it up for December, because he got his schedule cleared because OTC courses happen, and he has to be there to teach guys going through OTC.
Gotcha. Could you pull the mic a little bit closer to you so we get that? We get
at
that
least
clear?
a fist.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm looking at December 3rd and the 4th.
Okay, I'll put that on the calendar.
I'm looking at it. It's not going to be cheap because I got to fly him out.
Yeah.
And based on what he does and who he teaches,
it'd be worth it.
It's not going to be cheap for guys to learn from one of the best in the world.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Teaches the best in the world.
Yeah.
So I kind of got off track.
No, that's totally fine. There is no track, dude. There is no track. We're just talking. So let's go back a little bit. So where are you from originally?
Glendale, Arizona. No, I'm not from Glendale. Sorry, I fibbed. So I was born in Florida on an Air Force base.
Okay.
And my parents moved me to Glendale when I was 6 months old. So I don't know anything different than here.
Yep.
So I grew up in Glendale. Went to a school called St. Simon and Jude. It's a Catholic school on I-17 in Bethany Home.
Okay.
Then I went to Glendale High School, and then I went to Glendale Community College, and then I joined the Army.
Okay. And what led you to join the Army?
So I tested for Phoenix PD twice.
Okay.
I didn't get accepted.
Huh.
I tested for them in 2000. So 99, 2000, I tested for Phoenix, and I tested for LAPD as well.
Okay.
I was in the process of getting hired by LAPD. Passed the background, passed all this other shit. Pardon my French.
That's okay. That's totally fine.
And then my sister was in the Arizona National Guard. Her unit got called up to go to Iraq in 2003.
Wow.
So I went to the recruiting station right next to GCC and said, "Hey, I want to join the Army. I want to be a Ranger." I said, "Cool. Take this test on, in the MEPS, not in MEPS, but in the recruiter station, you can take a test on the computer, right?"
Yeah.
And I took the test and they said, "You didn't do very well on the test. You mind taking the ASVAB?" I said, "I don't care. Yeah, well, I still want to join the Army. I still want to be a Ranger. I just need to test well enough to become a Ranger."
Yep.
Went to MEPS, took the test, and they said, you crushed them, the ASVAB.
Nice.
You can do any job you want in the Army. Anything.
Whoa.
Pick an MOS, besides an officer.
Yeah.
I said, "Okay, I want to be an Army Ranger." Like, "Well, you can get more money. You got to do a 5-year contract, and you can become an 18 X-ray." And like, what the fuck's that? Like, that's a Special Forces recruit. You still go through the pipeline to become a Green Beret, but if you fail, you go to needs of the Army.
Yeah.
So you can go to 82nd, go to 173rd, Italy, wherever, Korea. And the pipeline starts with you go to Benning for infantry basic, for 1 station unit training, and then you go to airborne school immediately following basic. And then we had to go to North Carolina to Fort Bragg and start something called the Special Operations Preparatory Course called SOP-C.
Okay.
And they call the guys that go through the pipeline, they call us SOP-C babies. So,
SOP-C babies?
SOP-C babies.
All right.
I refer to myself as an 18 X-ray because that's your MOS you give as 18 X-ray.
Yeah.
And, I modified it.
Right.
You go there for a whole month of learning how to do land nav, how to pack a ruck, doing a lot of ruck march, and you get your ass kicked by a bunch of guys who are already Green Berets who have to do a rotation back at Bragg for their time at the Special Warfare Center in school. One of my instructors was on the initial invasion of Afghanistan with ODA 555. They were one of the first 2 teams to go into Afghanistan after 9/11.
Wow.
He was one of my instructors. He was so full of himself. He was dating some stripper that worked at a place called, I think it's called Pure Gold in Southern Pines, named Scott Zastro.
Shout out to Pure Gold.
Yeah. And Scott Zastro. So at the end of SOP C, all the guys that passed, because you have to do these crazy ruck marches through the woods. It's just like selection.
Yeah.
But you're not at Camp McCall. You're on Bragg at a place called the NTA, Northern Training Area.
So I don't mean to interrupt you, but you're going through a course that's preparing you for selection. You're not even in selection yet.
No.
Gotcha.
So I went to selection in January of 2004.
Okay.
I think I did okay. I made it, obviously.
Yeah, sounds good.
And so you go through it. When I went through, I think it was 6 phases. So selection, small unit tactics, and then we went through something called PLDC BNOC. It's like a leadership course.
Uh-huh.
And then you go through your MOS training. So I was a weapons guy. I learned how to do all foreign and domestic weapons, tactical stuff, mortars, you name it.
Wow.
And then you go through something called Robin Sage. It's a 1-month-long unconventional warfare exercise in URA National Forest. And then after you pass Robin Sage, you go to language school.
Wow.
I had to learn how to speak French. So I speak French. I spoke Arabic before I joined the Army.
And where'd you learn Arabic?
A good friend of mine in high school I went to Glendale High School with.
Yeah.
His name is Mustafa. And him and I became really close friends when he moved here from Egypt.
Oh.
I actually went to Egypt, lived with him in Egypt for a summer.
Okay, so you're immersed in that.
Yeah.
Nice.
From listening to him talk, I taught him English, he taught me Arabic.
Beautiful.
So language school, and then you go through SEER school, the survival evasion, and then you go to your team. And then I graduated the Q course, I believe May of 2005. I was in Iraq, July of 2005 on a team.
Wow. Wow, that's quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to basic July of 2003. It was in Iraq, July of 2005 on a team as a Green Beret.
Wow. So when you first get to your team, obviously you're a new guy, but did your training prepare you like?
Hell no.
Was it like forget everything you learned? This is how we actually do it kind of situation?
No, like as far as my MOS, the guns are the guns.
Yep.
Right. You can't. But every team has a certain special operating procedure (SOP) that a team has that you have to learn. There's a whole book they give you. You have to learn the team SOP. But a lot of it is you have to deal with personalities. It's not so much your job. If you wake up on time, you do your job, shut the fuck up. I didn't talk for probably 6 months. And
Wow.
my eyes were open, mouth was shut.
Yep.
Which white belts.
You were the white belt on the team. Yeah.
Show up and listen. Do your job. Work hard. If someone else is working, you're working too.
Yeah.
So even if another section of my team is like not even my job is doing something, I'm there helping.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be the guy who's I'm going to go hit the sack early.
Right.
I was never that guy.
Yeah.
It's definitely a steep learning curve because a lot of guys I was with on that team, the team I went to was actually a well-known team in third group because there's a book written about them called Roughneck 9-1, and they were in a really famous tank battle in Iraq in 2003 in the initial invasion, and we actually got a briefing about this attack when I was in basic training, and I went to the team I got a briefing about. So they fought. 12 guys fought in a whole Iraqi tank battalion.
Whoa.
With the help of F-16s. But they fired, I think, some of the first javelins in country and blew up some Iraqi tanks.
Wow.
But F-16s also dropped on their position and blew up a bunch of northern, I guess, Kurdish fighters that were with them.
Yeah.
Mass casualty event getting friendly fire from F-16s.
Whoa.
So there's a book about it. So I went to that team. So a lot of guys that were still on the team were on the original, still there. Some new guys, of course, but a lot of the same guys were still there.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nerve-wracking. Like I got a briefing about a lot of you guys.
Wow.
You guys are in a book, and you guys are famous amongst other Green Berets.
Yeah.
But they're just like you and me. They've got wife, kids.
Yeah.
Issues back home.
Sure. Yeah.
So it was fun.
Yeah.
It was good.
Let's go back to training real quick. Because I find it fascinating, like, people join, the Army and go to Special Forces, and a lot of you guys will kind of gloss over, some of the training aspects, right? But was there something in training in any one of those phases that you went through that you were like, holy shit, this is insurmountable, or holy shit, this is really hard, or maybe you had to repeat something, or was there anything like that was really like a really busted your chops a little bit?
There's a few things in training that I remember. Guys that quit, they're removed immediately. Like you don't see them much longer. So in selection, you have to do something that's called the STAR exam. You got to find 4 points in one night, and it's in a movement anywhere between 22 to 26 kilometers at nighttime. You start at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
I finished 3 hours early, and then as soon as I finished, it started snowing and didn't stop snowing for 3 days.
Holy crap.
And a lot of the guys would quit just because it was cold,
Yeah.
or they couldn't find their points. They didn't want to go out the next night in the snow, so we'd walk back. I walked. The truck dropped us off from our last point. We're walking back to check and say, hey, we finished. Give them our points. They were good. And I could walk and I could see guys that were hiding their faces with like, face mask or whatever they were wearing to stay warm.
Yeah.
But I could see a lot of my friends. I could see their eyes. Guys I've known from training from basic that just quit right there on the spot, and they could look and see, and the look of disappointment on the side of their eyes that they quit or didn't make it, and they see me walking through.
Yeah.
I never forget this one guy's eyes he had super blue eyes, and I saw him, and he looked at me, then he looked down. Just that immediate disappointment in himself for quitting or whatever happened to him.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that stands out early in training is the guys that quit, they're gone right away.
Yeah.
And they get all that negativity away and don't let it bleed into other people.
Yeah.
And it's just the professionalism of the instruction. It's more of a gentleman's course. You're not there to get yelled at. And something I learned as far as teaching people early is you're not going to get to somebody by yelling at them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I hear about schools, jiu-jitsu schools where their instructor will yell at kids or adults. And I'm like, you're not going to connect with your students by being that way.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I picked up from them and they're professional instructors. They're all subject matter experts, and they're not going to put some moron in front of me who doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you guys need to find that as far as jiu-jitsu instructors. Got to find guys who are passionate and know what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
For sure.
That helped the whole Q course. So that was weapons. In language school, my instructor, she was a lady from Canada who spoke French. Her husband was a Green Beret.
Okay.
And she had passion about teaching other guys who would become Green Berets because I might work with her husband.
That's cool.
It's just the people they put in front of you were professionals.
Yeah. No, that's great.
Except for basic training. Basic training was a shit show. And the dudes they shoved in front of us at basic they didn't want to be there.
Oh, really?
No.
Yeah, well, I mean, I imagine this is still like post 9/11. I figured they would be like
Iraq was kicking off. Those guys wanted to be with their units.
Yeah.
They're a bunch of E6s, E7s, and now, bam, they're stuck at Benning.
Yeah.
Teaching a bunch of turds.
Yeah.
Instead of, hearing stories about guys in Iraq, Afghanistan over there slinging lead.
Yeah.
And but back there stuck with us.
Yeah. I can imagine. That's pretty tough. But, and I guess we fast forward to your first deployment. Tell me about that. So, did you meet that team was it Iraq? Was it, okay, you met them out? They were already.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I told a story on my podcast. So when I got to Iraq July 6th of 2005. I remember that because that was my birthday.
Okay.
I turned 25 the very first day I got to Iraq.
Wow.
So I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know. So every operational detachment has it's called a B team or company.
Yep.
My company has one B team and then 6 ODAs in that company.
What's an ODA?
Operational Detachment Alpha.
Gotcha.
Kind of like the A team.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Mr. T and
Yeah. Love it when a plan comes together, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So an ODA is our operational detachments that go do missions, and there's 12 guys, and you train locals and you go do operations with them. I was on the B team, I'm not on a team. I'm just kind of a support guy for all the other teams.
Because you're new.
Because I was new, but and they had nowhere for me to go. The team I eventually went to, the senior weapons guy on the team was going to go to selection during that trip, so they needed another Bravo to backfill him leaving.
Gotcha.
So it was going to be me and another Bravo. So every team has 2 MOSs. So he was leaving to go to selection. Funny story about that too, coming up. So there's 3 of us, and my buddy, this guy Pat, was going to leave. So anyways, they said, hey, now that we know Pat's going to go to selection, you're going to go to 9-1 and be on the team instead of coming with us on the B team to a place called Telefar. I said, cool. So the team shows up to pick me up. I think they're picking up somebody else to drive him down to the base I was at in a place called Q West. So they give me my rifle for my team, and I have all my tough boxes and stuff. I show all this shit in a Humvee. I put my rifle on the front tire of the Humvee, like set it up there because I was doing shit, moving stuff in the truck. I go get inside the back seat behind the driver and close my door, and there's my M4 on the tire, leaning on the tire on the driver's side. And one of the guys on the team, a guy named Rich Turner, who's now a brown belt in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
he came and he picked up my rifle and he banged on the window with the fucking
Oh shit!
with the barrel. I look out the window and I'm like, oh, fuck. This is the worst first impression I could have done.
Yeah.
Going to a team, and then we had to drive down to the base, and I'm sure the team already knew before I got there that this new fucking Bravo, who's a weapons guy, left his fucking gun laying against the tire. We're getting a turd.
Oh no!
For sure, this guy's a turd.
Yeah.
So I had an uphill battle from there.
Is that something that follows you all throughout your career?
No.
Okay.
No, because my first trip to Iraq, my only trip to Iraq, I didn't shoot at one person. No one shot at me the whole time I was there.
Oh, that's a good deployment, I think.
I've never been more drunk in my life than when I was in Iraq in 2005.
What? Okay. All right. So I got to hear this.
We like to party.
Okay. Right on.
And we were at a place in Iraq where it was really slow. We're in the middle of the desert, and we were kind of supposed to train the Iraqi army. We were attached to 5th Special Forces Group. We weren't there with 3rd Group. We were attached to another Special Forces unit.
Okay.
And so we were kind of like treated like shit. And we were on the same airfield as an operational detachment Bravo, where there's a major and sergeant major who's in charge of a company.
Yep.
We were just kind of down the airstrip from them at our own separate compound, and they kind of treated us like shit.
How come?
Because we're not 5th Group.
Oh, okay.
We were 3rd Group. You know,
right.
We're still
Fair
the
enough.
same kind of guys, same colored hat.
Yeah.
But different working mentality.
So there's a rivalry between the groups.
Immediately.
Gotcha.
Yeah. 3rd Group thinks 7th Group sucks. 7th Group thinks this group sucks. Every group thinks every group sucks.
Gotcha.
You guys ruined it. We fucking saved the day.
Yeah.
We leave. We get back. You guys ruined it. It's like same shit. You know, if the 101st leave, the 82nd comes in. 82nd to say 101st, you guys did a shit job, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So we like to make friends with people. So we became good friends with air units there, and they would fly us around, do training. I think the 25th ID was there at the time from Hawaii. A bunch of Stryker Brigade was there. And so anytime a Green Beret would fly into country, I'd bring 5 or 6 handles of booze with me.
Nice.
So 1.75 liter bottles of whatever.
Yeah.
And I would trade that for favors.
Yeah.
Or I'd give it to the team. A guy on the team who likes to drink Captain Morgan, I had a fucking handle of Captain Morgan ready for you.
Nice.
So we would fucking wake up early as fuck in the morning, go train because it gets hot in Iraq. We'd sleep all day, go eat, and go train again at nighttime. And that's team training and training Iraqis. And then when all the training was done, we'd invite the pilots over. These are the units come over, hang out at our compound. We'd have a bonfire. Drinks start flowing.
Nice.
We start building rapport. And the sole purpose of it is to build rapport with other units.
Yeah.
It's not to like, hey, we're best fucking friends.
Right.
We need something from you.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to get it from other people.
And that's your job as a Green Beret, right? To build. Yeah.
Yep. Build rapport with anybody we can, so we can get more shit.
Yep.
So that deployment is actually able to get my hands on 6 or 7 EOTechs, some body armor.
Nice.
Just shit that's not on the books that I would hand out to my teams, or I would use it to trade and barter for other stuff.
Yeah. And just to let people kind of behind the curtain, how many people were on your team typically that you deployed with?
We're supposed to have a full team of 12, but it was so hard to get people, so we maybe leave with 9 or 10.
Right. So you don't have, hundreds of people to lean on, right?
Just
you have
us.
just you. So building those relationships kind of like multiplies your ability to execute your job. So that's the importance of building that rapport.
That's why they call us force multipliers.
Force multipliers. Yeah.
So when my first trip to Afghanistan, I know I'm fast forwarding.
That's okay.
6 months.
Yeah.
So the way the schedule went was I would be in Iraq for 7 or 6. I'd come home for 6, and I'd leave again for 6 or 7. Home for 6, gone for 7, home for 6, and I did that for 5 deployments.
That's quick.
Real quick turnaround. And when you're home, you're not home. You're training to go back again.
Yep.
So in Afghanistan, we were in a very small outpost on the border of Pakistan. It was me and 9 Green Berets surrounded by the Afghan army.
Wow.
And we were getting attacked all the time. And there was no females, just us and Afghans. And we got attacked. We're slugging it out, stuck them against the mountainside in Pakistan.
Wow. Wow.
And all you can do is rely on each other.
Now, the guys you were training, the locals you were training, were they special forces as well?
No.
They're just regular guys?
So back in that time in 2005, we were training the Iraqi army, the IA. And then when we went to Afghanistan, it was just the ANA. They didn't have Afghan commandos until 2007, 2008.
Okay.
And we were just with regular ANA or ABP, Afghan National Army and Afghan Border Patrol or Border Police.
Wow. And tell me about those guys. What were those guys like?
Fuck, bro.
Wow. Yeah.
It was weird. It's a totally different culture.
Yeah.
Afghans they're not. It's not called Afghanis. They're called Afghans.
Afghans.
Afghani is the money.
Ah, okay, all right.
They're very. It's a very tribal type people, and they've been that since Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
It's very, very tribal around the country. And if you were from the north or if you were a different tribe, they could tell right away, and they didn't trust each other.
How far away were those tribes from each other? You know what I mean? Like
a mountain ridge away.
Right.
Yeah. You have to go over. You have to go over the Hindu Kush.
Yeah.
To get to another tribe or type of people.
Yeah, and it sounds like a short distance, but you're talking about it's like one of the ends of the Himalayas, so it's not like it's an easy route.
It's in the chain of
Yeah.
It goes through all the way through Afghanistan, northern India, Pakistan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan. The whole mountain range runs through that whole area.
Yeah, and it's steep as shit.
Through Nepal. Oh yeah, you can't get over it.
Yeah,
that's why the winter season over there is great because they can't climb over a mountain pass because it's too snowy, so it slows down a bunch in the winter in Afghanistan. But the fighting season is in the summer and the spring and kind of in the fall. But it's been like that for 2,000 years.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's one big thing is you have to read a lot about the history of Afghanistan to kind of know how to fight there and how the people are.
Yeah.
So they'd make us read a bunch and learn a bunch about before we go somewhere, learn the culture and the people.
Yeah.
And we always talk to our interpreters. I didn't speak Pashto or Dari, but we had speakers that spoke, and I asked them all the time about their culture and how to deal with people because it's so different.
How so?
So when we got there, and we're in a very remote area, say, and not even as populated as Glendale or Mesa.
Yeah.
I'm talking like Jerome-sized town.
Okay.
But even smaller. But it's all mud huts and all the same people who've been living there for thousands of years.
Yeah.
And we get there and like, hey, are you guys the Russians?
Whoa.
Like, nah, dog. we ain't Russian.
Yeah. Break out a New York Yankees hat, something like that.
And they're like, they would know what New York is.
Yeah,
like
wow.
We would show them a picture of New York City, and they're like, that's fake.
Whoa.
Nothing like that can exist. That's not real. They can't concept in their. I'm sure they can, but they can't conceptualize a picture of New York City in the buildings. So they've lived such a simple life, living in mud hut, collecting sticks. You know, just a super. It's just different. So it's hard to learn the culture, to deal with people appropriately because it's all about respect. Like the village elder is the be all end all of what happens in that village. If you want to get anything done, you have to make friends with the village elder.
And how do you do that?
That's my captain's job.
Right on. That's cool.
And the captain talks to the village elder with the terp, and then we talk with other people around town, like, hey, what's been going on? We hand out shit. We do something called med caps, where we get a whole group of freaking like a dentist, a veterinarian, pediatric people, and we bring a whole bunch of backpacks and socks and free shit for kids, and kids file through there, and we ask them questions. Hey, everything okay? And we give them worm juice because little kids have worms. I've actually pulled teeth on Afghans.
Wow.
Because with a dentist, the guy from Atlanta was it's like what the hell is that kind of dentist called where they do? It's just strictly for cosmetic, like a cosmetic dentist.
Yeah.
But he would volunteer his time with USAID, and go to Afghanistan and volunteers his time to help people with fucked up teeth.
Wow.
So he showed us how to inject Novocaine into people's mouth and pull molars out that were failing. So that was part of something I got to do.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Is that gross? I think it's gross.
I didn't have a mask on. It wasn't COVID, so I'm good.
Right on. So the village elder is like the rock star of the village. And how many people are typically in a village? A couple hundred?
If that.
If that? Wow. And they're all, I mean, for all intents and purposes, they're all like one giant family, right?
Yep. And they can reach back in their brain, and they know the name of their 8th great grandfather.
Wow.
Where he lived, what he did. And it's no problem. Like, oh yeah, his name is this. Yeah. I can't tell you who my 8th grade anything is.
Right. Yeah. No, me
I
either.
can't remember shit from 8 days ago.
So what about the way the villages are laid out? Do they have like a center point where that's like their church and school and kitchen and everything, and everybody gathers, or is it individual homes that they do their own thing?
Like there would be a certain area for school, but their houses would be connected to like their family. So like mom and dad would have a house, and they'd add another little section.
Okay.
Just build a mud section off of that.
Wow.
But no, it's very, very tight knit communities.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
everyone knows everyone.
Yeah.
They know who's out of place. So you ask them, hey, is anybody here not supposed to be here? Like, oh, we didn't know who you're talking about. You fucking liar. You know who's supposed to be here, who's not supposed to be here, because I don't look like you.
Right.
And, you know, if some guy's not from your tribe came over that mountain and is hiding somewhere in your village, you better fucking tell me.
They'd know it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
We'll burn your fucking village down. we'll come back and burn your house down.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me about those relationships with those guys. Did they evolve into anything? Like, do you have obviously you probably don't have any existing relationships with the same people, but what about the interpreter, stuff like that? You still have relationships?
I've been messaging back and forth to this guy. I know now it's stuck in Kabul and can't get out, and I'm trying to work with an organization to try to get him out by getting paperwork filled out for him to get back.
Is he an interpreter?
No, he was a local that spoke good English. That was one of our camp runners.
Shit.
So
Okay.
just tell this guy, hey, we need something from downtown. Can you grab it? Yes, mister. Yes, mister. And he would run downtown, grab it for us. And it was a great ability for him to have eyes for us. Like, we'd have him run, grab something, but we'd also, hey, what did you see?
Yep.
What happened along the way? And he was a good source for giving us information, intel to tell us shit that's going on that we can't go see ourselves.
Yeah. And so what is the organization that you're working with to try to get them out? I mean, is there something that people can donate to or something like that? Because I hear these stories of, people left behind that were helping us. And I think it's important for people to at least understand, the significant role they played. I'm sure that kid played a significant role for you guys, day to day, so to speak.
He helped out.
Yeah.
He was a good guy.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, that's something that I think, like I said, I think it's important for people to at least, understand what, that we're still trying to help these guys out,
It's called the SIV. I've got my whole message from me and this guy that's stuck in Kabul.
Wow.
And he sends me stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Afghan Civ application. It's a state.gov organization.
Okay.
And they're constantly trying to get guys validated who did work with Americans back, because there's a lot of fraudulent shit guys trying to leave that never did anything.
Yeah, of course.
That's anywhere.
Yeah.
I've been emailing both of the Civ and him saying, hey, man, I'm trying to do what I can, but there's only so much I can do because I wasn't his direct supervisor, and they need his direct supervisor. So I can vouch that, yeah, you did shit, but I have no idea how much money you were getting paid.
Oh,
your exact duties, because I wasn't your HR manager.
Yeah, yeah.
But I saw you. And
how are those guys vetted?
Before they work for us?
Yeah.
Or now?
Yeah, before they work for us. Family?
Yeah, they have family that already works for us. So his uncle, a guy named Joe, worked for Special Forces for years, and he said, hey, I have a nephew that needs a job. I said, cool, bring his ass in. We'll put his ass to work.
Right on.
We had no problem putting, good guys to work.
Yeah. Did you find a lot of people that actually spoke decent English? Because it doesn't seem
wasn't bad. But some had no idea.
Yeah.
Some had absolutely no idea.
Yeah.
But some guys wanted to learn it because you can make money for your family if you spoke any English.
Gotcha.
So some guys, but some guys came to us speaking no English. So one of my guard commanders, a guy named Sheffy, his brother was a command sergeant major in the Afghan National Army and worked for my ODA back in 2002. And we hired this guy, Sheffy, who had no English, just to come work on our camp. And the sole purpose we hired this guy was to wear a black jacket, wear a shorty AK, and walk around and just look like he knew what he was doing, but he had no idea what he was doing. But he had long black hair, a nice beard.
Yeah.
He looked athletic, and he would just walk around and watch camp workers, like day workers, come on the camp. We'd search them. They come move rocks around, whatever odd projects that the engineer wanted to get done. And he would just carry an AK. But over time, he learned how to speak English. Yeah. And then a couple years later, I brought him on to work with me at another job in country. And he was my guard commander and spoke great English. No kidding. Yeah. And I built a relationship with that guy over 3 years. So hey, go back. So his job was to wear a black jacket, carry an AK-47, walk around, look like he knew. What was the purpose of that? Just so that the camp workers wouldn't fuck around. Oh, okay. He's the fuck around and find out guy. Yeah, so he was the muscle. Yeah. Look like muscle. Right. So, blacks, fingerless mesh gloves.
No way.
Had sunglasses. Had no idea how to even shoot an AK. I don't
So
think.
you had the Afghan Andrew Dice Clay keeping everybody in
Mm-hmm.
line. I love it. That's awesome. That's awesome. So what was the
Optics.
Optics is good. Yeah. So what was the purpose of your first visit to Afghanistan, if you don't mind me asking? Like, what was it? Was it just to
Train.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a Green Berets job, is to go there. We train and teach locals how to fight. We teach them our tactics, and then we go do operations with them.
Okay.
So every mission we did had to have an Afghan or a local national face on it. They didn't want to see white guys kicking in doors. They wanted to see people from there kicking in their doors.
Okay.
We were there as support. We were there as observers, advisors, and expediters. You know,
Okay.
we were there to help them complete their mission, because we're not going to be there to hold your hand forever.
Right. Yeah.
So we train you. We go with you. We kind of treat, as we see you progress to get better or worse, we kind of know what to work on as far as we would tailor specific mission, tailor specific training for certain missions.
Yeah.
They didn't have night vision.
Wow.
But we still go do night operations, and that's one of the reasons we got lit up by the UAE when we were in Afghanistan in 2006.
What's the UAE?
The United Arab Emirates.
Okay.
UAE SOF, United Arab Emirates Special Operations Forces, shot at me and my team when they flew in with another ODA and thought that we were bad guys and lit us up with 240 Bravos and 249s and M4, and their Afghan shot at us, and our Afghan shot at them.
Oh no.
So it was a pretty nice debacle, having two Chinooks land. They get off and start firing fully automatic machine guns at us.
Holy crap. What came out of that? Like, how did you stop that?
Well, I laid down in the dirt behind a berm and tried to dig with my helmet to get lower.
Yeah.
I think half my body was hanging out, and you could hear it skipping off behind
Holy
me.
shit, dude.
And then our Afghans wanted to start shooting back at them because they had no night vision. They had no idea who was shooting us. They knew two Chinooks came in, took off, and then all of a sudden we're getting lit up with automatic just tracers flying over them.
Wow.
So they started firing their AKs back at the Special Forces team and the UAE.
Yeah.
So it was back and forth. And then we told our Afghans, stop shooting, our interpreters, and we got on the radio, said, hey, friendly fire, and they stopped shooting, and then we continued the mission.
Oh, my gosh.
And then during the fight, the heyday, we got lined up by an Apache, came and lined us up. They lased our objective. So where I was laying, an Apache flew over us and lased us, like they were going to come back and do another gun run on us.
By lined up, they targeted you.
Yeah.
Wow, that's scary, man. And that's like our own folks, because I don't think any Afghanis had Apaches, right? I mean, it had to be us. So holy shit,
it was fun.
yeah, that's one way to put it. So let's fast forward a little bit. So you come back off that deployment. Did you go right back to training? Go back to jiu-jitsu, or how did you handle like time off?
So that deployment, I hadn't started jiu-jitsu yet. That was 06, 07. That was end of 06 and 07. And then on the next deployment when I left, so I came home from that deployment, that team got disbanded because we fired our team leader that trip.
Okay. I didn't want to ask, but thank you. I was going to ask why it got disbanded. That's kind of a big deal, right?
So on that trip, our team leader, a captain, came from the Marine Corps. His name was Captain Rashid. He was a coward.
Oh.
And we don't deal with cowardice very well. And
how did he make it through selection with all that? I mean,
no, it's easy to go through. You aren't getting shot at. You aren't getting shot at for real.
Yeah, that's true.
When you get shot at for real,
yeah,
pucker factor increases, and he didn't want to do gangster shit.
Yeah.
So he was very risk adverse. Didn't want to leave the wire. So we would just leave on our own. So me and like 3 or 4 of the guys and a chirp would just leave on ATVs.
Yeah.
And go hunt for motherfuckers.
Wow.
Because we don't want to get stuck at the base. Like I cannot sit here for 2 weeks while they're encroaching. Yeah. So we would just leave and patrol on our own. Yeah. And we would go meet people. So totally against the rules, though.
But let's talk about that. You are breaking the rules. I get it. But what happens when you don't patrol? What happens to the base when you don't patrol?
They get in closer and closer. They get more intelligence on what your day-to-day operation, because we're surrounded by a mountain. They could look down into our compound.
Yeah.
We're always looking out. They're always looking in.
They get braver and braver when we do nothing. Right?
So as you know, essentially the tide creeps in.
Yes.
And we got to keep pushing the tide back.
Yep. And another thing, and this is just stuff that I've read and that I've heard because I wasn't there, but one thing that I've read is as the tide increases, other people who would otherwise not join will start joining in because our team is winning, right? Yep. So that's the importance of being able to. So, okay, yeah, sorry, keep going.
So we would go out and have fun and hunt for people and see what we can come across, see if we can get shot at. And we would drive in the most remote, random places that people haven't been to since Alexander the Great ran through that bitch.
Wow.
So we would just go look around and talk
On
to
an
people.
ATV.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Just doing whatever. I have videos I can show you of me riding ATVs just randomly. And we'd drive out to a river and just start throwing grenades and see what would happen if you threw a grenade in a river and shoot 203s across shit just to kind of get some noise going.
Yep.
To pull people to where we are. And
Get
then
them
we'd
curious.
go wait
Yep.
and see who would come and look at us.
Yeah.
And nothing ever really occurred, and we did it for months, and our captain had no idea.
Wow.
And another reason that we wanted to get rid of this guy, because I was driving an ATV, and I've got my pistol, and I've got my M4, I've got a sniper rifle, I've got a bunch of shit, and I look inside. Our ATVs have bags on the side where our legs are,
Mm-hmm.
and I look inside one of the bags, and there's an M9 pistol inside one of the bags. I'm like, who is this? I'm like, this isn't your guys'. So I go back and look at my master arms list, and it's the fucking captain's pistols inside an ATV bag.
Just left.
And so we went back and we did a weapons a sensitive items check,
Mm-hmm.
and we'd go to every room and say, hey, do you have your pistol? You got your M4? Yeah, cool. Check it out. And the captain said, yeah, he had his pistol, but that motherfucker was that pistol was in my room and not in his, and he lied.
Yeah.
And so we all had to write sworn statements to the company commander or major on the B team that we wanted to fire this guy because we're not confident in his ability to lead a special forces ODA.
Yeah.
And so they found that out, that we're gonna fire our captain. So when we got back to States, they disbanded us.
Wow. And so were any of you guys like kept together? Or was
No.
it completely disbanded?
Completely disbanded.
Wow, man, that's rough.
They brought a whole. That's why I had to go to the 3 shop and work air for a deployment. Otherwise, I may not have ever picked up jiu-jitsu if I didn't go do that deployment as an air guy.
That's wild, dude.
Yeah, and I was one of the youngest guys. I was an E6. Their average rank on a team is an E7 or senior E7.
Why is that though? Why is the average rank E7? I read that as well. Why is that?
Rank doesn't matter amongst the teams.
Yeah.
Rank matters outside of the teams for the regular Army.
Yeah.
If an E5 Green Beret shows up somewhere, then you're going to gain respect from your Green Beret and your tab, but you're going to lose respect based on your rank.
Gotcha.
And some other E8, E7 is not going to give a shit what you say.
Yeah.
But when an E6 shows up with a CIB, Halo wings, Airborne wings, Special Forces tab, Ranger tab, then you'll garner a lot more respect.
Yeah, and explain what that CIB means.
The Combat Infantryman's Badge.
Yeah.
So
means you've taken at least one shot,
Yes.
across the bow.
So it means you've received enemy fire and returned enemy fire.
Got it.
But it's been modified throughout the years. Like if you get IED'd, you can get a CIB because you saw some enemy contact try to kill you.
Gotcha.
Even if you don't return enemy fire, because if you get blown up and you don't get a chance to shoot, you can still get a Purple Heart and you can still get a CIB.
Wow. Okay.
And there's another type of badge called the CAB, the CAB, the Combat Action Badge. I called it the Cunts and Assholes Badge.
That is totally staying in, Steven. Do not edit that out. I love that.
So the reason, guys, the only people that can get a CIB is infantrymen or Green Berets. As soon as I graduated basic training, I was an infantryman. As soon as I got my Green Beret, I lose my infantryman status and become a Green Beret. But every Green Beret can get a CIB, even if you're not infantry, because you're considered a combat arm.
Gotcha.
So anybody who saw combat as a Green Beret gets a CIB. Now, if you see combat as a regular MOS, like a supply guy, mechanic, you get the CAB, the Cunts and Assholes Badge.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So it is different.
Yes. And then if you're an infantryman, you can get the CIB.
Okay.
So I think people in the Army have more respect for guys who have CIBs because you're a combat arms MOS.
Yeah.
But
you're actually hunting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're not getting hunted. And if you drive a Humvee through downtown, you get blown up, you get your CAB.
Yeah.
Or if your base receives rocket fire and you never shoot one round in anger at somebody and you go climb under a concrete bunker, you can get a CAB.
Gotcha. Okay.
And never even see actual enemy contact and close with and destroy the enemy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's wild. So I've always been curious how, I mean, CAB, CIB. So that kind of brought up a question. Like, you're the hunter, right? Mm-hmm. So of course you've seen some things that can't be unseen, but you're the initiator of that contact most of the time, I would imagine, right?
Sometimes.
Yeah. But what about the guys that are like fixing trucks and and they take incoming fire? Like, how do those guys deal with? I mean, you're basically, I hate to call it sitting duck, but it kind of is. I mean, how do they kind of handle that type of I don't know, pressure. I don't know. Like, how do they process that stuff? Are they cool? Are they like,
the thing
they
is,
freak out?
On our teams, we had guys that attached to us that weren't combat arms at all.
Yeah.
So we had a mechanic attached to us. We had 2 Air Force guys attached to us. And they aren't combat arms, but
Wow.
we would still take them out and do missions with us. So we had an Army dog handler.
Okay.
And his job is a dog handler. He's not a combat arm. He's like an MP.
Yeah.
And he'd come do missions. And we actually got that dude, I think, a Bronze Star with V on a deployment because he stayed in the Mark 19, which is a grenade launcher, automatic grenade launcher. He stayed in the turret and fired a grenade launcher where we're getting ambushed.
Wow.
And got him a Bronze Star, which he never would have seen anyways. But he's not going to get a CIB. He's going to get a CAB.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So I have respect for guys who are not combat arms that can do actual slug that shit out with the enemy.
Sure. Yeah.
But as far as a guy who's on base takes rocket fire, I think their unit forces them to put on their Kevlar, their gear, and go run under a bunker.
Wow. Yeah.
And because I don't think they've ever stormed a giant base. Like, I don't think they've ever amassed enough troops or had enough organization to actually attack inside the base. They've blown up gates.
Yeah.
And maybe small pushes into the wire, but never actually the whole place getting overrun.
Gotcha. Okay.
But do they have everyone manning those gates? It could be any MOS up at that front gate and getting fucked up.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Like,
holy shit.
So when I was in Iraq, I had to pull not gate duty, but tower duty.
Yeah.
That's a Green Beret. Like, they put me out in a fucking tower with some random motherfucker.
Wow.
So I think my shift started at nighttime, and I had to go sit in the fucking tower with my kit, my body armor, and just sit in a tower. And the one guy had nods, and my night vision stayed with my team, so I didn't have night vision.
Why did it stay with the team?
It's a sensitive item. They have to do sensitive item checks. So every month you have to make sure you have all the sensitive items. You have to send it to the company and say, hey, yeah, we're 100% on sensitive items.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting in this tower with some random E3 or whatever, and he's sitting in a tower with a U.S. Army Green Beret.
Wow.
I'm like, I don't know how I got stuck with you. You know how I got stuck with me, but we have to make the best of it for the next fucking 12 hours sitting in this tower.
Holy crap.
So if this guy that's a supply clerk has never even left the base, has to sit in here and possibly get shot at by an RPG.
Yeah.
That poor guy, how does he deal with it?
Yeah.
If he's with another guy that has no idea what's going on outside of the wire.
Yeah, he's probably wondering how the hell that happened because he
doesn't even know what's going on out there.
Yeah.
Has never stepped foot off the base once in a year.
Yeah, that's hard for me to process because I always think of like, everyone who deploys and they go do missions, but that's not the case. You may stay on the base the whole time.
The whole time.
Wow.
And never even leave the wire. The safety of your your bunk and your binky. You'll never go see anything. Yeah, man. So let's talk about you came back for a while and you're going 6 months home, 6 to 7 months back. And you only made one deployment to Afghanistan, but the rest were to Iraq? No. One to Iraq, 4 to
Afghanistan. Sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
Vice versa.
Vice versa.
Yeah,
so the first one in Iraq. So let's talk about Afghanistan. What does that place like, feel like, smell like? What is it like being there?
It's really cool.
Is it?
Yeah, it's like being in Arizona.
No kidding.
Yeah. So
all right.
The first time I flew on a Chinook to our base in a place called Sarkoni, it's just south of a village called Asadabad. We're flying over in a Chinook. I'm looking out the window with all of our team gear in there, all of our weapons, all of our personal shit, our tough boxes. I'm looking out the window. I'm like, this looks a lot like Arizona. Holy fuck! But the only difference is it's not like, houses like we have in Mesa or wherever.
Yeah.
But it's a bunch of like mud huts and it's dirt roads. So in 06 when I went there wasn't the infrastructure that there is now. A bunch of paved roads, cell phone towers. It was like going back 700 years in time.
Wow.
It was fucking cool.
Yeah.
So we landed at our base and we take all of our shit off the Chinooks. The Chinooks take off. We start bringing our shit back to our compound. And all my shit's back in my room. I just go out and stare. I climb up on it. We have a two connexes, 2 ceilings just stacked on top of each other. I go to the very top and I just look around like, holy fuck, I'm in Afghanistan. And on top of it, the National Guard team that was there before us built a bar.
Sweet.
Up there. And on one side, I think they had like a very minuscule amount of sandbags up there and maybe a 50 cal.
Okay.
On top of the tower for base defense.
Yeah.
So I go there and look around. I'm like, holy shit, this is fucking Afghanistan. Mountains are enormous.
Yeah.
I could see the Asadabad River real close to our base. And it smelled cleaner because there's not a lot of cars.
Yeah.
It's all natural irrigation. There's no landscapers. There's no...
Yeah.
you know, it's just a bunch of fucking mud huts.
Wow.
And one paved road that went to Pakistan, and that was the main road we were concerned about, was that road coming in and out of Pakistan.
Gotcha. What was the concern with that road?
Terrorists.
Terrorists. Gotcha. Okay.
Fighters coming through.
So that was the main route going in and out. Gotcha.
Okay. One of the main routes in the north.
Okay.
That was actually paved, and you come through a mountain pass, and there's a border patrol station up there that was manned by the Afghan border police and the Pakistani border police. Is up there, and we would take random trips up there to take a look at the border and look around. And we would catch people coming into country. We'd get intel that guys are coming in with shit. But back to how it smelled and how it looked.
Yes, yeah.
It was. There's a lot of natural. What's the word I'm looking for? Agriculture. Like every village has their like agriculture, and they supply a bunch of stuff for themselves, like fruits, vegetables. They grow stuff. A lot of sheep herding, a lot of still old 700 years ago.
Wow.
800 years ago.
Yeah.
In a country that didn't have electricity, one generator for a town. People didn't really have cell phone towers.
Yeah.
There were no cell phones.
Yeah.
A lot of donkey-driven carts, and
no kidding.
I went back in time.
Yeah. Was there any trade between the tribes?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like there was main supply routes where guys could get around, but within the village itself, it was very tight-knit villages. And,
wow.
And the base we went to was actually supposed to be a resting location for the Afghan National Army. So we would push those guys up to a combat outpost in, say, the Korangal or another shitty-ass area.
Yeah.
And they would come back to our place for R&R. And then they'd go there, rest, relax, and then just get kicked back out to a fucking combat outpost where they get fucked up in the mountains.
Wow.
Way north of us, and just fighting all the time.
So hang on a second. So these guys, you're going back in time. These guys probably never left their village. Are you supplying them with like body armor and like cool guns?
Nope.
No, they're using the same stuff they always use.
Afghan army gives them basic body armor, if they even had body armor.
Wow.
AK-47, some RPGs.
Yeah.
Maybe a Dragunov sniper rifle.
Yeah.
The cool thing about our base, they had an actual, I think a tiny little mortar, not a mortar, like an artillery fucking cannon on the base. And it was pointed one direction and never pointed any other direction but Pakistan.
Wow.
And then randomly, one night I was there, you hear a giant fucking boom. I fucking jumped out of my bed. I didn't know if it was incoming or outgoing.
Yeah.
I ran out the door, and no one else came out of the room.
Yeah.
Except for the new guy first shipped to Afghanistan. Looked around like, what in the fuck's happening? I go banging on the door and like, bro, that's outgoing. Go back to bed.
Oh my gosh.
They didn't fucking tell us shit. They didn't tell us a damn thing. They were gonna fire a goddamn artillery round into Pakistan.
Oh my gosh. So okay. So I'm trying to get in the head of these Afghan fighters. So you guys show up. Bunch of gringos show up. Are you flying them in helicopters? Okay, so they're walking to where they got to go.
We would do driving operations with those guys. They would.
Gotcha.
They had their own trucks.
Okay.
But when they had to go back to their combat outpost, the Afghan army had trucks that would drive them back to their outpost.
Gotcha.
And drop them off for months.
Yeah.
And then they come back and they rest and relax. But when they come back to us, we would train them and then take them on little local operations around there.
Nice.
So I guess get them back in the cycle of doing operations.
But they were like hardened warriors, right? I mean, they were they're
a bunch of fucking cowards.
What?
They turn and run as fast as they can.
No kidding.
Yeah, we stay and fight. They run.
Wow.
They're not fucking. Some of them are down to sling lead.
Yeah.
But 90% of them are worthless.
So how do they come about joining the army? What's the incentive for them to even join the army? Do they get money? Do they get paid?
They
Okay.
make them.
Okay.
I think the Afghan army was making a lot of people do that.
Gotcha.
They had to.
So they had no interest in actually fighting. They just were trying to make a couple bucks or something.
Doing a job, and
right on.
As soon as the shit hit the fan, they would run.
Wow.
Maybe one or two would stay and fight with you, and those are the ones that you would select to go to the commandos.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
They say out of every 100 fighters, I think you've seen that statement, out of every 100 fighters, 90 of them shouldn't even be there.
Yeah.
9 of them are fighters, and 1 of them is the actual fucking warrior.
Yeah, and that's the guy you would send to the commandos.
And it's the same story throughout time. Like I've talked to Green Berets in Vietnam, and they're like, a lot of those guys were completely worthless.
Wow,
it's pretty cool.
Wow, that's wild, man. So tell me about like a highlight of Afghanistan. What is like? Obviously, you said it's beautiful out there, but like, tell me about the people, the culture. What did you take out of it that you still carry today? Like, that was pretty freaking cool. That was a great experience.
It's just how close they are. Like, they're not like the village is close.
Yeah.
how close is the village of Mesa?
Come on now. I don't even know my neighbors.
Exactly.
Bro. Yeah.
And
I mean, I know Victor. He's cool.
Yeah,
you know?
I felt it was really cool how close the community is, and the whole village raises everybody, and they all help each other. And one story that comes to mind is we drove to this guy's house that we had intel that he was housing foreign fighters that were coming in from Pakistan. We drove up there and went to the house, and the bomb dog sniffed around and reacted to some areas of the house. So we started burning that motherfucker down.
Wow.
And then when the house was catching on fire, we could hear rounds popping off and shit blowing up inside the house.
Holy crap.
And so people just from the village down by the river started walking up to help put the fire out of this person's house.
No kidding.
Yeah, there was no fire department. It's the village went up there to help.
Wow.
Because they thought his house was on fire and went up there to help. And we said, no, you bitches go back to town. You're not going to help.
Yeah. Wow.
So they're very, very tight knit, which is something I like about jiu-jitsu. Yeah. Is our community is so tight knit, and we'll help each other through any situation. Yeah, we were actually talking about that in one of the podcasts. Like, I always encourage people to become part of a community. Mm-hmm. I don't care what community, if it's like CrossFit, jiu-jitsu, knitting, I don't care. But something about the jiu-jitsu community is we freaking rally. Yeah. Like, if somebody's in trouble, we rally. For sure. And as long as you ask, it will be someone will answer the call. I mean, a few of us will answer the call. Yeah, a few of us will answer the call. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, for example, I had one of my friends, Julissa, on the podcast. She's, one of my jiu-jitsu teammates through Paul Nava. And, she was a kid when I met her, young girl, partying, doing her thing, traveling, doing all this stuff. And then we had a message that Julissa has cancer. Oh, wow. I'm like, fudge. Okay, so we're all like, roll up our sleeves. So what do we do? How can we help? And, doing fundraisers and doing all this stuff. And, the whole community just rallied. Mm-hmm. But it's the same, that's, the house is on fire. Let's go put it out. Yeah. Same principle. So, yeah, that's really cool. So let's talk about your Jiu-Jitsu Academy for a minute. So, yeah. So Allied BJJ. So it's changed now. Is it? It's no longer called Allied. What is it called? It's called My Jiu Jitsu Addiction. Oh, that's right. It was changed. Yeah. Livio Hibiero. He's got like 4 names. I don't know all of them. Yeah. He's, I think, currently ranked the top 10 in the world for IBJJF. Okay. Like rooster weight. Okay. He's Aries Black Belt under Cushinho, I believe. Okay. He teaches there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Nice. So Monday, Wednesday is gi. Tuesday, Thursday is no gi. He teaches the adult gi classes. I teach on Wednesday night. I teach the I guess, fundamentals class. Yeah. And I teach there in the mornings. Okay. I teach a vet first responder course on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Tuesday, Thursday at 6, but I teach every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 6 a.m. Yeah. 9 a.m. on Fridays. I think I'm teaching 20-something classes a week there. Holy crap, dude. And I teach in Cottonwood on Monday. That's why I don't do anything on Monday, because I'm in Cottonwood all day Monday. Yeah. But Allied Jiu-Jitsu was started in, I think, 2015 or 16 by a guy named Thomas. Yeah. And he had a mobile program driving around town teaching at like tutor times, teaching kids. Him and Shannon partnered up and opened a brick and mortar Allied Jiu-Jitsu. Yep. Thomas moved to North Carolina, and Shannon kind of took over the business and rebranded it as My Jiu Jitsu Addiction. Oh, cool, man. Yeah, that's cool. Shannon's a great dude. I like him. He's been in the Valley and training a long time. I think he's from Arizona. Okay, yeah. And he's been there for his whole life, and he's had a storied past of as a fight promoter. He trained at a lab for a long time. Yeah. And he's supposed to be getting his black belt November 9th. Awesome. I'll be there. Him and another guy named Mike getting their black belts at the gym November 9th. I'll be there. That's awesome. Yeah. So Shannon and I competed against each other at Blue Belt. Yeah, at Blue Belt. So, funny story. So, I'm a pretty new Blue Belt, and Shannon had a couple stripes on his belt, so it's, intimidating. But, so my instructor, Paul Nava, he's like, I want you to shoot in right away. And I'm like, Shannon's ears are mangled. And I'm like, are you out of your freaking mind, dude? Like, so anyway, I shot in. That didn't work out, but we had a pretty scrappy match. It was fun. Go? Yeah, I won. Nice. Sorry, Shannon. I love you, man. But what'd you get? I think I got him with either a bow and arrow or a rear naked choke. I know I choked him. I took his back and choked him. But I think that's the last time we ever competed against each other. When was that? Oh, gosh, man. 2015. Okay, like wow. That. Yeah, 15, 16, somewhere in there. Holy shit, you were a blue belt in 15. Yeah. Good for you. Yeah. I got my black belt pretty quickly. Okay.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to get your black belt?
Less than 7 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I never took a day off. Like I started jiu-jitsu and I never took a day. Like within the first week, I knew like I was in. Like that's all I want to do. So I have that personality. I mean, obviously, I have that personality. I don't halfway anything. So when I was doing triathlon, I just immersed myself in triathlon. What got me out of that was almost getting hit by a car. I'm like, screw this. Right?
Running or riding a bike?
Riding a bike.
Oh, wow.
So twice. I had first time. I didn't have to put. I didn't crash, but it was really close. It was a guy in a Porsche actually just turned left. I'm sorry, turned right in front of me, and I was like, fuck, man. And then the second time was it was an early morning ride. Maybe I used to get up at 4 a.m. to go ride. Mm-hmm. And I'm used to the lights behind me, right? And I'm used to like being in the bike lane. I can kind of tell, ears working, the eyes are working. But there was just something about these lights that were just different. And I was like, car's coming right at me. And I bunny hopped onto the sidewalk. I mean, it was like a narrow little pathway, and I bunny hopped onto it. And literally that car was in the bike lane, just zoomed by me, and I could see the glow on the person's face on the phone. Yeah, so I was like, I'm going to get killed. So my brother is a paramedic in Houston, and he says, oh, they'll hit you and leave you. They'll kill you. They're not going to stop. So I was like, yeah, so that made me kind of stop doing that stuff, and that one scared the shit out of me. That one's like, yeah.
And that was 2000 when?
That was 2013, right before I started jiu-jitsu.
Wow.
Yeah. No, maybe 12. Yeah, it had to be 12. So, yeah, because there was a layoff. So I did my last triathlon at 167 pounds. I started jiu-jitsu at 240 pounds.
Really? Yeah. And what are you at now?
180 this morning. Okay. Yeah. I walk around about 175, 180.
You weigh yourself every morning?
Every morning.
That's fucking weird.
I measure my food every day. It's so stupid.
I weigh myself at night.
Yeah, me too.
See how much weight I lost overnight. Like, I lost 3 pounds.
Yeah. And there's something weird about, like, especially when you compete, because your body kind of, I don't know, man. I don't know if it knows, but whatever. But, like, I'll wake up maybe 2 pounds lighter. Mm-hmm. Every morning, 2 pounds lighter. The week of a tournament, 3 pounds lighter. 4 pounds lighter. It's crazy, dude. It's crazy. It's like
your nerves?
Yeah, I think so. I think so, because I'll sleep and then I'll wake up and I'm like, oh shit, I'm on weight. Awesome. So yeah, it's perfect. Yeah.
What kind of gi do you wear to compete in?
I wear a Royal Union gi. It's
is it a lightweight one or
4-pounder?
Okay.
Yeah, it's about 3.6, something like that. It's stupid that I know that.
But it's super light gi.
It's super light. Yeah. How about you? What do you wear?
Whatever gi there is. So when my first competition, I wore an A5 gi.
No way.
And I wear A3.
Okay.
And I didn't know.
All right.
So I ordered a gi. It was an old school Atama gold weave.
Yes.
Atama gi. I ordered that bitch in 2008. And when you sweat in an old Atama gi, it's
drenched.
You might as well jump in the pool with a sweater on. Is what you're wearing. The sleeves went down past my fingers, and like no one ever told me that. And I showed up to competition with an A5. And I still won.
Right.
The belt went down to my knees. But now I just wear regular Academy gi. I've got some New Defiant. Have you ever heard of New Defiant before? We Defy that. Have you heard We Defy?
Yep, absolutely.
New Defiant stands for We Defy, but it's in French.
Yes.
My buddy started the New Defiant Jiu Jitsu gi with a guy named Alan Shabar. They started We Defy together.
Nice.
My buddy Jeff Perez was a Green Beret, and I wore his gi. It's a New Defiant Show Your Roll collab gi.
Sweet.
I'll wear that.
Is it pretty light?
No.
Okay.
No. I grew up wearing Atama gis that are so heavy.
Yeah.
And the gis have changed so much over the last 16 years I've been training.
Yeah.
And they're so light. They're so durable.
Yeah.
It's like you don't feel like you're wearing it. So I'm used to wearing this heavy sweater, freaking Mr. Rogers wool fucking gi.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how much jiu-jitsu's changed from when I started. I can only imagine what it was like back in 1925 when the Gracie started in Brazil.
Yeah.
Who knows what kind of gis they wore way back in the day.
Yeah. I think I've seen like they look like little short pants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super thin, probably ripping those things apart.
Yep.
And God knows what kind of laundry situation they had going on in Brazil in the 20s.
Dude. Yeah. Yeah.
Because people have issues with gis now.
Yeah.
What's your process for making sure your gi doesn't smell?
I wash it as soon as I get home.
Yeah.
Do
you wash your belt?
I do.
Okay.
I do. Yes, I wash my belt.
So you don't lose powers when you wash your belt?
No. And but sometimes the washer disagrees with my promotions, like my brown belt.
Yeah. How many times have you had to restripe yourself?
Bro, I don't even, yeah. But, I'll tell you what, when we started, when I started coaching, you kind of take for granted that, okay, maybe I can use this twice. No. I mean, it's like, you gotta wash that sucker.
You hang dry?
I hang dry. If I coach in the morning and I'm gonna be at the academy for a while, I'll hang dry it just to make sure it doesn't get too funky. But I'll wash it as soon as I get home.
Mm-hmm.
But I always carry another gi just in case.
Mm-hmm.
But we started using this powder stuff. One of my students actually told me about it. It's called Rock and Green. It takes the funk out really well.
Really?
Rock and Green is like
it
you
on
get Amazon, one little scoop, and it defunkifies a lot of stuff because my rash guards get a little gamey after a while.
Of course.
So I'll either I always Rock and Green it, but sometimes I'll soak it in white vinegar, and that helps. But yeah, what about you? What do you do?
Same thing. As soon as I've got, over the years, I've probably amassed over 30 gis.
Oh yeah. I've given a bunch away.
Yeah, I haven't given any of my gis.
You just have them all?
Yeah.
Holy shit! Yeah, that's a lot.
I've got some really old gis. My atomic gis, it says 2007 on the bottom when it was manufactured. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So I was issued 2 atomic gis from the Army, a white one and a black one. I was given them by the Army.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Because I started teaching at the Fight House on Fort Bragg for third group. I started teaching as an assistant instructor in 2008 for a guy named Tim Charpenter. So he gave me 2 gis that he bought through the combatives section for group.
Yeah.
And I've had them ever since. And the pants have worn through. I've had to get patches sewn on the knees. Like, I took it to a sew shop in Fayetteville. I said, hey, can you put some cover on these? And she put 2 denim blue knee patches over instead of like a regular black canvas.
Yeah.
No, 2 denim fucking knee patches.
That's like the stuff I wore when I was a kid in the 70s, bro. Yeah.
So I still have that gi. It still has the old style string, not like the rope they have now.
Yeah.
I have got so many old gis that I'll never wear. They're so heavy.
Yeah.
Like, you can pick up and feel like this thing weighs 6 pounds.
Yeah. And then when you start sweating on it, it's like a 10-pound gi.
And the smell never goes away because I didn't know how to wash it. So now, as soon as I get home, I throw it in the wash. I throw everything in my belt, underwear. I strip completely naked, throw all the clothes I wore home in there with the gi.
Yeah.
Sweat material gets on my clothes.
Of course.
I use Tide. I put it on, I later wash it on warm. I highly recommend getting a water softener with filtration.
Yeah.
I've probably got the nicest water in North Peoria because I was a plumber for 4 years.
Okay.
So I installed my own water softening system with filtration. So my water's filtered 7 times before I shit in it.
Damn, bro. All right.
So, and then lately I found this thing called Downy beads.
Oh yeah.
I put a cap full of those in there and I wash it and then I hang dry everything on my stairs.
Same. Yeah.
If I need to wear, if I really like gi. Have you ever seen those floor fans you can get if you get like water damage in your house?
Yeah.
It's like a floor fan has a little circle
and
it blows air.
Yeah.
I set that on an ottoman and blow that shit right onto my gi and it dries it off in an hour.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, so I'll do that if I really press to wear a gi again.
Yeah, that's a good trick.
But I've been doing that for years and I have no smell.
Yeah.
And I actually get a lot of compliments from people about how nice I smell when I roll.
Yeah, man. When I first started jiu-jitsu, I would train with some guys and let's just say they were in from out of town, and that would be like their 3rd training session of the day. Same gi.
Oh, gross.
Yeah, it was like sun-dried between sessions.
Yep.
Holy
Tim Kennedy used to do. Have you ever heard of Tim Kennedy?
Yeah.
Tim Kennedy used to do that at the gym. I trained with Tim Kennedy a long time ago.
So bad.
He would throw all of his gear on top of his. He had a shitty little car, like a tiny little like Mitsubishi or Nissan piece of crap gray car. You never think Tim Kennedy would drive a car like that,
right? I would picture him in a giant truck with lights everywhere and guns sticking out the side.
No. He would do the same thing, and he smelled.
Yeah,
same thing you're saying. I don't want to change subject, but guys would throw that in North Carolina. It doesn't get. It's not like here, Arizona,
right? Where
it's dry. It's humid.
It's humid. Yeah.
And it didn't really. It would just smell dank.
Yeah, man. So I want to talk about a couple things. I want to talk about your coaching in Cottonwood. So this is part of this. Obviously, there's a lot of reasons why I wanted you on the podcast, but your commitment to the guys in Cottonwood is
unwavering.
Dude, it's awesome. I love it. I know you're kind of playing it off a little bit, but you drive an hour and 15 minutes each way.
Yep.
And what day do you teach there?
Every Monday.
Every Monday.
For the last year.
Beginning of the year, or beginning of the week, you're driving after a work day, right? After you finish, right? You drive out there and you teach that class. Why? Why is it?
I love jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
I love teaching. I love my students.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's awesome, man.
It doesn't matter. And plus, I use that hour and 20 minutes to, I'll listen to podcasts.
Yep.
I listen to something called Warlords of History podcast. I've been listening to that a bunch lately.
Okay.
And it talks about lesser known warlords throughout time. I listen to Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Kind of some self-help for myself.
Yeah.
I think about what I want to teach for the week in that hour and 20
Yeah.
minutes. I really go over my lesson plan of what I want to teach. And then I love Cottonwood. We've been going up there for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And I still go up there every other Saturday as well. So I go up on Monday.
Yeah.
I'll go up that Saturday, then return again on Monday.
Wow.
So sometimes it's really close.
Yeah.
Every other Saturday, except when this is a tournament, I won't go up that Saturday. So we teach the whole day at a tournament. You know?
Of course. Yeah. It's a long freaking day, dude.
And then I have to go to Cottonwood
that Monday.
That Monday after working all day Saturday or whatever. Or Sunday. Sunday's Grappling Industries this Sunday.
Yeah. And
they come down Sunday.
Dude, so, good for you, man.
I like Shadrach. I really like Danielle. I like Danielle more than Shadrach. And it's such a great community in Cottonwood. And I never would have imagined in a million years that I'd have a relationship with a small city like Cottonwood.
Yeah. I love it out there.
I didn't even know where it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
The only reason I know where Cottonwood is because of my day job. I did some work at Verde Valley Medical Center, which is in Cottonwood. Yep. And you go down that little strip, man. It's like you're almost going back in time. It's more modern now, but it's literally like driving down Mayberry, finding a good place to eat, nice place to stay.
Food's so good.
Everybody's cool. The food is awesome. Yeah, so it's a really cool spot. But so how did that relationship start with Shadrach? How'd you get to meet him?
So I actually met Shadrach at a place called the MMA Lab where I got my black belt. I met him a long time, years ago, at the MMA Lab, and I started the veteran first responders class at Allied back in the morning when I was still doing plumbing full time.
Yep.
And he came to my veterans class and said, "Hey, I'm selling my house. I'm going to move to Cottonwood." And so he wanted to have a relationship with me and Thomas and the gym. And so we're like, "Cool, you start a gym. We'll go up there on Saturdays and we'll teach every other weekend on Saturdays." Me and Thomas would go up together with a whole bunch of students that wanted to go up and get out of town. Go to Cottonwood, it's cooler. We'd go to the wineries, and it'd just be a great time. Go have lunch. It was just a blast going up there on Saturdays. Yeah. And then Shadrach finally opened his own store, his own location, brick and mortar store next to a Safeway, and it just hasn't stopped.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's guys who started at white belt who are now looking at like higher blue belt now.
Wow.
After 2 years. So.
That's cool. I actually so Nick Thompson's been trying to get me to go out there. Burly Nick.
I just gave him a stripe.
Did you? Nice.
I gave him his purple belt about 4 months ago, and he's been crushing it, doing no gi, and I gave him another stripe. I roll with him. I roll with him when I can up there. He's just so big.
He's a giant dude.
His bicep is the size of your torso.
Yeah, it's funny because he came out to visit, and I was like, "Hey, man, you're big again." He's like, "Yeah." He goes, my bench press started suffering, so that's not going to happen.
He's a cool guy. He game and fish warden. His wife's super cool.
Yeah.
He was a Phoenix SWAT officer for a long time.
Yep.
Has a degree in biology. He was a Marine officer.
Yep.
Infantry officer. So I really like Nick.
He's a great guy, man. But he and I have a relationship because he actually started, he restarted jiu-jitsu in the morning class over at Navas. So I got to know him really well, and he's been trying to get me to go out to Cottonwood for a while. And you know how it is. Like you're a business owner and you're teaching all the time, and everything's just happening, and you got tournaments on the weekends and all this stuff. I got every excuse you can think of, right? But I set a date. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go out there on September or whatever the heck it was, and there's nothing on the calendar. And I got on I was like, okay, so I went to put it into my calendar, and I was like, I haven't seen my mom in a year.
Oh.
So I went to Houston instead, but I've been dying to get out there to check them out, at least for the weekend, and go out there and train. Yeah. I will. I just got to put it on the calendar. Yeah. There's so much crap going on. Yeah.
But it's never ending stuff.
Right. Yeah.
It never ends with family and your students, your gyms, competition.
Yep.
And not just Arizona competition, it's competitions out of state.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to Nogi Pans to coach in a couple weeks. So, I mean, there's always something going on. And as a academy owner, I mean, you know this, there's never nothing to do. And if you're not doing something for the academy, it's because you forgot to do something. Guaranteed.
So what's kind of your life like? Let's say you just did a full day teaching. What do you do when you come home to unwind? Like, what's your unwinding process at home? Because you've just been teaching kids, adults, asking questions, dealing with customers. Not dealing, but
I know what
helping
you mean.
your students and their parents. Like, what do you do when you come home to unwind?
It's mainly having dinner with my wife. We just sit down and bullshit for a little while. You know what I mean?
You ever just need time just to be quiet and just, like, not have to talk?
I need to do that more. But you know, it's just so when Amy works, it's a 12-hour shift.
Okay.
And the 12-hour shift, sometimes she'll have 3 days in a row. So we don't see each other for 3.5 days. And if I'm at the academy all day and I come back, we haven't seen each other in 4 days.
You guys catch up on
we just catch up on shit. Yeah.
Students and her work.
Yeah, mainly what we do. What do you do? Oof. Drive.
No, so during the week, I'll go home and, like, my wife works, but she'll have dinner made. I'll hang out with the kids. They do homework. They go to bed around 8:39.
Yeah.
My wife likes to kind of sit on the TV and watch TV and would be on her phone. I can't stand being inside.
Yeah.
Ever since I was a kid, I wanted to be outside playing soccer, whatever.
Yep.
So I'll go sit in my backyard and I'll be on my phone. I picked up a habit a long time ago. Probably isn't good for me. It's definitely not good for me. But I started smoking something called hookah.
Oh, yeah.
And I have pictures of me smoking hookah in Iraq in 2005, Afghanistan. The Afghans didn't know what hookah was, but I'd sit outside on my shoe in my room, just smoking on a hookah.
Yeah.
And just kind of zoning out.
That's cool, man.
I learned a long time ago. I went to like a marriage retreat the Army puts on. The chaplain service puts on a marriage retreat, and it says, guys' brains work like there's boxes in our head, and we'll compartmentalize different boxes. It'll be sports box, work box, jiu-jitsu box.
Yep.
And I want to get into my nothing box.
Nice.
And I go in my backyard. I set a hookah up. I sit on my phone. I'll watch. I'll respond to. I'm trying to grow Instagram and put pictures and a constant, social media engagement is huge for what we do.
Absolutely.
Putting out videos so people can see what we're all about.
Yep.
So I'll engage there. I'll listen to music and smoke a hookah, and then I'll have like 2 or 3 of my students come over and hang out with me in the backyard.
Nice.
And I try to keep that tribe close of students and friends.
Yeah.
So no, that's my thing. I used to play video games a bunch overseas.
Did you really? I couldn't picture you playing video games. That's weird.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No,
all right.
I'm the Nintendo generation.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So overseas, we set up our Xboxes to be on a LAN, a local area network.
Yeah.
And we'd all play Halo together.
Yeah.
So overseas, for me to unwind, I'd come back from a mission. Say it was super hairy or some shit happened that was tough to deal with. Come back, take all my shit off, put my kit, clean my gun, make sure the trucks are fueled up, and all the ammo is put back in the trucks. Make sure the guns in the truck are good in case you get called out to go do some shit, and then go take a shower, go in my room, turn the air down, and just play fucking Xbox.
No shit. All
for
right.
hours, just to kind of just go into that nothing box. I think it's important for veterans to find a way to escape all the bullshit and pull that nothing box out of your head and just sit in there for a while and have no stress. I feel it's important. But at the chaplain service, so the women's brains are wired differently.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a giant ball of wires, and every wire touches everything else. So whenever you touch one thing, it's going to affect 45 other strands.
So men compartmentalize, women do not.
And
gotcha.
women can. No, I'm not saying all women.
Right. Yeah.
But as far as in that marriage retreat I went on, it helped me. So by doing that, it's able for me to unwind from work and unwind from whatever else is I'm dealing with. 'Cause I'll be teaching class. So at the gym, we've got double doors.
Yep.
The big rolling barn doors.
Yeah, they're beautiful doors.
And I'll be in there teaching, and we'll have kids on the other side playing, and something loud will hit the door, and it sounds like a round hitting a Humvee.
Oh, shit.
And I'll forget how to breathe for a second. I got to pause and then try to regain what I was thinking about, remember how to breathe again, and then continue teaching.
Wow.
So going home and trying to unwind, because when I drive home, if I see road debris, driving home, it makes me think about IEDs. Or if I'm driving here, I was looking at mountaintops and looking for black figures on mountaintops.
Wow.
And driving here, it never leaves.
Wow.
So when I get home, sit in my backyard is my safe space. I put a lot of work into my backyard.
Yeah.
And so I sit back there and kind of unwind.
Yeah.
And try to.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. I want to ask you a question right after I say this, but when we moved into this house, there was no curb appeal. It was
You put a lot of work into
awful, dude. It was awful. Giant bushes. Those freaking bushes that are out.
Mhm.
I took all of them out. They came back. Now they're mine. I'm keeping them. They fought their way back. Dude, from the root, I uprooted those bastards, and they grew back. Yeah.
The thing about Arizona, bro. Shit
Yeah.
goes back.
Yeah, shit grows back. So, but the whole backyard was, I mean, it was the ass end of Mars with a pool in it. We put grass down. I sat there one day, and I was like, I want to love my backyard.
Yeah.
And so we put the work in. Amy and I and the kids, man, we dug up a lot of, I mean, there was nothing but freaking, what do they call it? Like river rock and all kinds of shit buried in there under dirt. And just, anyway, we dug down, laid some topsoil, put some grass down. Now I love my backyard, so I love sitting in my yard too. That's awesome.
Even when it's hot, like if it's hot, I installed my own mist system.
Nice.
I have misters.
Yeah.
I hooked it up off my soft water so my mist nozzles never get.
Good for you.
I was a plumber for 4 years.
Yeah,
When I got out of the Army.
Yeah.
So I hooked it up myself.
Yeah.
I'll kick the mist on. I have a fan. I can sit back in my backyard was 105 degrees. It feels like it's in the 90s.
Yeah, that's cool.
But at nighttime, it feels like it's in the 80s in my backyard. Even when it's 101 degrees outside, it feels great. So I'll sit back there and
yeah. I can imagine with a light
You have to have
breeze.
your space.
Yeah, for sure.
The house is my wife's space. My backyard is my space.
Awesome.
I don't even have a garage. Like Amazon boxes are thrown into the garage.
Dude, I don't even want to show you my garage. It's awful. It's awful. But let me ask you a question, man, because I ask this of people that, you know, in your line of work, you know, your former line of work, and people that are police officers, guys like Nick, you know, guys like, you know, my buddy Heston, all those guys that did a lot of serious work. How do you control that? I guess you don't have really control over it, but how do you handle fear? I
don't know. It's of course it's all mental, right?
Yeah.
Fear is something you put on yourself.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys I've met, veterans who deal with fear and crippling fear, is they feel like they're still in an area where you're in danger. If I know I'm in America, I'm in my truck, or I'm at the gym, I'm relatively safe.
Yeah.
Albeit weirdos that come across your path.
Of course. Yeah.
So I have to constantly remind myself that you're somewhere safe. You're not going to die. You're not going to get shot at today. You're not going to get. It's just that reminding yourself that you're somewhere safe, and it's so. Overseas, I was never afraid.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
okay.
Like jumping out of airplanes, I never got scared. I always took a lot of faith. I had a lot of faith in my training, and I put a lot of what I am now. And I never trusted anyone. I didn't trust anyone. I always put a lot of faith in my training and hard work.
Yeah.
And I never underestimated the enemy. So I always look what's around the corner. I always look what's over the wall.
Yeah.
And I never trusted that nothing was back there.
Yeah.
So by dealing with fear, it's more mental toughness, I feel, and it's kind of hard to explain.
Yeah.
Like I've any firefighters I was never really afraid. It's always you get shot at. It's like, oh shit. Okay, back to work. I have a job. Always have a job to do.
Yeah.
Always give yourself a purpose. Even if it's the smallest thing, give yourself a purpose.
Yeah. And you can carry that into today, right? Yeah. Always give yourself a purpose. Your purpose is, you know, you're literally changing people's lives through your training in jiu-jitsu. And you know, I always ask that question because, like you said, there's
hopefully I answered it the right way.
You did. Absolutely. No, that's good. But my I guess what I really want to do, like my interest really is to talk to those guys that did jobs like yours who are not taking steps to handle that fear or something. You know, I really believe that jiu-jitsu is a vehicle to help you kind of, I don't want to say recover, but deal with a lot of emotional issues, whether it's, you know, things that you did overseas, or whether you're a police officer or you've been in a bad relationship, an abusive relationship. I really believe that jiu-jitsu is a good direction to go to help you deal with that kind of stuff. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons I kept doing jiu-jitsu, because it helps so much mentally with PTSD or whatever you're dealing with.
Yeah.
And no matter what's going on around you in jiu-jitsu, if you're getting smashed by somebody, you always have a job to keep yourself alive or safe.
Yeah.
If you're getting shot at and you got to swap out the can of 50 cal bullets, keep your head down and swap out the can of 50 cal bullets. You know, your house could be on fire, but you have a job to do.
Yeah.
So keep a purpose.
No, that's good. That's good. So, so let's talk about, let's see, what other question did I have? Oh, the class that you taught today.
Yep.
So talk about that a little bit. And I find it really, really interesting what you do with that. And who is the target audience and how do you handle it? Okay, everybody.
Not everybody. So if you're a convicted felon and you can't carry a pistol, it probably doesn't apply to you. But I have taught this to guys that are convicted felons and wanted to learn. I have no problem teaching you.
Okay. Okay.
So the course I teach is based off 2 separate programs I taught in the Army. I used to teach something called the Special Operations Combatives Program, which I discussed earlier, that's taught to current operators across the world, and something called the LVT, the Low Vis Tactics. So Low Vis Tactics is something I would teach the guys that were going to go work in foreign embassies, Green Berets working embassies that wear civilian clothes and would still carry a weapon. And it's teaching you how to deal with somebody grabbing you from one of your blindside angles. So from your 9 o'clock to about your 5 o'clock, you really can't see.
Yeah.
And if you're going through a house and someone grabs you at one of those angles, how do you deal with engaging them and getting to your tools so you can keep yourself safe? Either an edge weapon.
Yep.
Which is called this is the Sock P dagger, which is, if you read the name of it, it's the name of my first jiu-jitsu coach. His name is Greg Thompson. He invented that knife, and it's actually operators across the world carry this.
Nice.
All the time.
Nice.
I must always have this on me.
Right.
So if you see me at a jiu-jitsu tournament, I probably have a Sock P dagger on me because I can be talking to you and I can pull this out and put it in my hand and you have no idea.
Yeah.
I can put it in either hand.
It almost looks like you're scratching your belly.
And if I go to shake your hand, I can slit your wrist.
Yeah.
If I have your hand.
Nice.
So it's something I teach to anyone that wants to learn the same stuff that I would teach to Green Berets. I've taught it to Federal Air Marshals. I've taught it to the FBI TRT, Phoenix Police, Phoenix. And almost any entity you can think of, I've taught SOC P when I was active duty Army because they would fly guys in to do training with us and we would teach them.
Wow.
And so I teach that, but it's an aspect of guys who want to carry concealed, and if you get grabbed from one of these angles, and if you get tackled to the ground, how to get to your gun. If you get, so say you're in an ATM, and some guy comes and grabs you from behind, picks you up, and wants to take you down, how can you get to your tools and keep yourself safe? It's essentially teaching you to get to your tools if you're carrying concealed. Yeah. And keep your tools.
Yeah, yeah.
9 out of 10 of my students lose their pistol to one of my attackers who've done my course or have done a lot of training, and they'll grab you and take your pistol from you, or you'll shoot yourself. I've had a few of my students shoot themselves in the hand, in the stomach. And
I'm sure you're using like some kind of simulated ammunition.
Of course.
So
I
relax.
I try to teach as much as I can in a certain block of time. I can't keep you for a whole week. So the course I would teach in the Army was 40 hours long, 5 days straight, or 2 weeks long, depending on how proficient you want to be, or if you want to get an instructor's certificate. I have you for about 4 hours.
Wow.
You cannot become proficient at an arm bar in 4 hours, much less how to deal with somebody pushing you into a wall, attacking you over an object, and fighting to get back to your gun in 4 hours. So I teach you for about 2.5 hours of all the techniques I can, and then run you through about 20 minutes of scenarios where you have an actual airsoft pistol on you, and then my guys come grab you and attack you, and you got to get the airsoft pistol out and shoot and defend yourself.
Wow.
And not shoot anybody else, because I have other people in the room that aren't part of the scenario that are just civilians. Yeah. And if you hit them, that every bullet is connected to a lawyer.
Yes. Yeah.
So it teaches people a lot about situational awareness, the kind of equipment you're carrying, what kind of holster you have, where you carry your pistol, how you're going to position yourself in a room. It's just teaching people that what they do now isn't going to work if you get actually grabbed, because the CCW course doesn't teach you that.
It does not.
They teach you the laws, and they make you shoot so many rounds at a target.
They don't even do that anymore.
No,
you just learn the laws, and basically what I was taught was all the laws that work against me.
Wow.
That's what I was taught.
So when I got my CCW back in the late 90s, I had to actually shoot a target.
Nope.
Gone.
Not required.
Good job.
The only thing they taught us, here's what I took out of the CCW course. If you draw your weapon, you've committed aggravated assault.
Wow, really?
Yes.
Even if there's a threat of life, limb, or eyesight, you can.
Well, so here's what they said. If you're attacked with a knife, you better look like you got attacked with a knife. You know what I mean?
Otherwise, it's your word against theirs unless there's video.
Unless there's like real damage.
Okay.
Like real damage. You go to court and say, look, my arm is screwed up. He stabbed me through the arm. I had to shoot him.
Wow.
Yeah, but if somebody assaults you or they're not armed, you're allowed to tell them that you're carrying a weapon. You're allowed to hold a weapon. As soon as you draw it, you've committed aggravated assault, unless they're actually pointing something at you, another weapon at you. So that's what I was taught. So I was like, okay, so aggravated assault, not good. That's a good 5 to 7 years.
And it doesn't help you carry it anywhere that anybody else can't. You still can't carry it into post offices, bars, Correct. None of that shit. It helps you get your pistol or rifle faster.
Yes. Yeah. You can walk out that day. That's
Yep.
basically it.
Yep.
So I'll take it. What the hell?
And how much did you have to pay for your CCW?
I think the course was, what was the course? The course was like $65, and then the fingerprints were like $25, something like that. Yeah, so pretty standard, right?
Yep. So I'll teach the course I'll charge you. It's like $120. And it's me with my experience and this guy Dave, who's a Phoenix police officer.
Yeah.
For about 4 hours, and teach you how to actually deal with somebody grabbing you and you have a pistol on you.
Yeah, that's the way to go.
And it's not just the laws. Like Dave goes over the laws of what you need. And he tells everyone to shut the hell up. Don't say anything.
Yeah.
Keep your mouth shut. And get a lawyer.
Yeah.
Or get that. What is it? The U.S. concealed carry, the USCCA insurance.
Yep. Insurance. Yep.
Get insurance, no matter how much whatever it is.
Yeah.
But it's just stuff that I would teach Green Berets.
Yeah,
and
that's
how
cool.
And how to deal with somebody grabbing you.
Yeah, I mean, if that's available to
anybody,
that's really good. Especially if you're not 100% comfortable carrying a firearm, because I mean that's the biggest fear that I have is somebody taking it from me. That's my biggest fear. Like I know how to shoot, I can fight, but if somebody grabs it, holy crap, I'm in trouble. So I'm definitely interested in doing your course, and I think anybody who's carrying concealed should do it.
Let me know.
Yeah, for sure, man.
For anybody who's thinking about carrying concealed, or if you have a gun and you want to learn how. So this weekend we're teaching a 2-day course.
Okay.
So it's 4 hours today of the guy Dave, who's a SWAT officer.
Yeah.
Teaching basic handgun manipulation, pulling it from concealed, how to reload, dealing with malfunctions, a whole bunch of stuff about sight picture and aiming and trigger
awesome.
Squeeze and reloading and how to pull and reholster. And there's about 2.5 hours of that. And then I get into my instruction. I teach that. There was an hour and a half today, about an hour and a half tomorrow, and then about 2.5 hours of scenarios.
Wow.
I teach basic field survival. So as far as if you need a tourniquet, how to tourniquet yourself.
Nice. How
to do wound dressing, how to assess a casualty. A lot of stuff you need for as far as battlefield medicine, because I did a lot of that training in the Army with our medics.
Yeah.
Special Forces medics are essentially field trauma surgeons.
Yes. Yeah.
To work on people, and we did a lot of cross training in the Army, so I teach a lot of stuff that medics would teach me.
Nice.
As far as dealing with battlefield medicine.
How did you get into that? How did that start?
It's what I did in the Army. I did that. So my last year in the Army, essentially they gave me a cush position because they knew I was getting out.
Yeah. So
I was able to go to something called the Advanced Skills Company. In the Advanced Skills Company, it has combatives, room clearing guys called SFAWIC, Special Forces Advanced Urban Combat Course.
Okay.
There's a SOTIC section, the sniper course. There's the free fall committee. There's forgetting the word for the guys who drive ATVs all over the place. There's an ATV.
No kidding! They have their own course,
their own
awesome.
section, and they take guys out and teach them how to drive ATVs and Hummers or Humvees in all kinds of weird, austere locations, and teach you how to recover vehicles, the proper way to drive it. Because Green Berets drive ATVs. It's part of what I did.
Wow.
So there's that section. There's a computer section where they teach guys computer stuff, how to sneaky peeky.
Oh wow.
Cell phone and computer activity, and so I was in the combative section, and we taught modern army combatives, special operations combatives, low vis tactics, certain knife type courses. We in our dojo, we called it the third group dojo. We built a shoot house in there with padded walls and padded rooms, and we put something called not aligned furniture in there, fake couches, fake beds, fake like an office setting, a bedroom setting.
Wow.
And then Green Berets would do room clearing. You go in the room, and I've got a fucking full on suit on. And as soon as you come through, I crush you into a wall, and I grab you and start pulling you. And so you have to use what I taught you in the SOC P course to defend yourself. We had vans. We would drive up and abduct guys in courses, pull them into a van, start beating the shit out of them. You got to fight your way out of a van.
Wow.
We had meats gone wrong in the back of a car. So I'd go pick up a source. I'd be in the back seat talking to you. And then but I would be the source. I'm the guy in a full-on, you know what a blower suit is? The red man suit?
Oh, yeah. I've seen those.
It's called a blower suit.
Gotcha.
Or a red man suit. A helmet, everything. And you pick me up, and I get in the back seat. And you know I'm an instructor. Yeah. You know I like to do jiu-jitsu. I like to fight. And I was on a team where I had to conduct meetings with sources. So I know how meetings go with sources overseas. And doing stuff. So I'd be talking to a Green Beret. He'd be across me. He'd be nervous as shit. Yeah. Because he knows Jeff Cook likes to fight. And I'd be talking to the guy, and all of a sudden he'd say something like, I don't agree with that. And I'd get angry. Yeah. And then I start fucking this dude up in the back of the car. And we teach you how to fight out of the back seat of a car. Wow. How to, gain leverage in the back seat, how to fight down on a guy, how to tie a guy up with a seatbelt. Yeah. And I taught that for just over a year, but I started teaching it in 2007. Yeah. With this first guy. Yeah. So before I was a black belt, I was a blue belt, white belt. Yeah. With Tim teaching all these courses from 2007 till I got out of the Army in 15. So I've been teaching Green Berets for over a decade. That's awesome, dude. Yeah. And so you're bringing that to the civilian world, and that directly translates, right? Shit just happens. Yep. Shit. I mean, you could be in an Uber with a guy that doesn't want to get out. Yeah. It can happen anywhere. Yeah. You can be in an Uber and somebody just jumps in the back seat with you. Yep. And like, what are you going to do? You're going to be, so I always say the gas stations and ATMs are the crossroads of the world. Yeah. That's because the poorest of the poor and the richest of the rich still go to QT. Yep. And you're over there getting gas. Your kids are in the car. You're distracted with your phone. Yeah. And then boom, someone grabs you from behind and you're smashed into the fucking gas thing. Or they're trying to take your car, take your kids. Yeah. How do you get to your tools? Yeah. Is your gun in your car? Or is your gun on your waist? Wow. Yeah. So right. And you're at a football stadium, or you're whatever waiting at ATM. You're next in line, but the guy in front of you is a bad guy, and the guy behind him is also a bad guy, and they're going to fucking rob you. Yeah. So the guy at the ATM turns around, starts talking to you, guy behind you grabs you. That's one of my scenarios I use. I love it. So I try to put as many real-world type scenarios with realistic grabbing you. I try to make that's one good thing about the Army. We made training as realistic as humanly possible. Yeah. So you're prepared for a situation. Yeah. Yeah. I did this, oh gosh, what is the name of this company? They make they make a simulation. It's kind of like a 300-degree simulated video thing for cops. Mm-hmm. Oh gosh, I can't remember the name. Anyway, that's right. It's here in Tempe, isn't it? Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So I've talked to those guys. Do you? Yeah. There was like a Scottsdale cop and then another guy. They were kind of partnered up. But so a buddy of mine that I worked with is like, it's his brother-in-law that's like part of the ownership group or something. Anyway, so when they were starting up, we went out there just to visit, and they're like, oh, you want to jump in? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Sure. Yeah. So, okay. So I know I'm standing on a platform. I know these are all just, screens around me. Yep. I know this is all fake, and my fucking heart rate had to be 170. Oh yeah. It was like so stressful, and you're doing this stuff like with like real people. I can imagine. Yeah, I can imagine. So, and you're interacting with a human being in person. Yeah. And these guys that do it are guys who, like Dave is one of my grabbers. The guy, the Phoenix cop, the SWAT officer. Yeah. I've got another black belt named Chuck Gaddy, who's one of my grabbers. He'll be talking to you like, "What the fuck did you say to me? You looking at my wife?" And he's getting closer, getting more aggravated, and he pulls a knife out. Oh shoot! And then either you get to your pistol or you defend against the knife attack. Wow. And it's real time, real human being grabbing, not a video screen. Yeah. Yelling at you. Yeah. Yeah. And then you pull your gun out. So I actually worked at a place called Modern Round for about 2 weeks. Have you ever heard of that? Nah. So they closed. They worked really closely with that company you're talking about in Tempe. Yeah. And so it's a restaurant you can go to and play video game TV with like laser pistols that actually react to the CO2 cartridge. Yeah. The magazine that you put in the weapon was a CO2 cartridge. Yes. And it was like screen related. They bring you food. It's all entertainment. And my job was to work on the guns and kind of teach people weapon safety. Yeah. I couldn't handle it for more than like 11 days or some shit. I couldn't do it. So I quit. Yeah. But yeah, I know that simuation, what the hell is that training call that they do with the TV screen? I can't remember. I can't remember. Yeah. It's going to come to me at 2 a.m. and I'll remember. But I remember like. But there's so many scenarios. Like guy with a knife and guy holding somebody and some just random homeless guy that took a leak. Yeah. And it's not always an attack scenario. It'll go from like, okay, so the software is so freaking good that if you do everything right, the guy will put the gun down. Yeah. And it's like, sorry, man, So can he hear you talking to the screen too?
Yes, but at the time, this is like 10 years ago. The more modern software is way better. Back then, there's a guy on a computer, and if you do something wrong, he escalates. Yeah. So if you do something right, he de-escalates. So of course I did everything wrong because I'm not in that line of work. But
it's stressful too. Right?
It is, dude. My scenario was, okay, I'm standing in a line at an ATM, just like you said, right? I'm at an ATM, and there's a lady in front of me, and she's like a good 15, 20 feet. Like I'm way far away. And it's an outdoor ATM. A car pulls up. This guy gets out of the car, walks right up to her, grabs her, and pulls a knife. So right away, I draw down on the guy. I draw down, but I didn't do anything. And he guts her like a fish. And I blast him, and I shoot him. However, the guy in the car starts shooting at me. They've got
hiding in there.
They've got a can. They've got a can, like a trash, like a 55-gallon drum on there, where I could have like ducked down behind if I had known the situational awareness. But they also had this little thing on my back that zaps you if you screw up.
Oh. So
I got shot. I'm like, shit. Yeah. So, but my buddy, he gets into his scenario. His was a school shooting. Dude, I'm watching, and my heart rate had to be like 170, 180.
Yeah.
And there's like kids running and shots going off, and you can hear it like all around you. Yeah. And it's like, it's insane, dude. So, I mean, going through your training with live people I can only like someone talking to me that way would be like,
I've had people freeze.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And it's a simulation, but you can't help it.
I do something called a Tula drill. You heard of that?
Nah.
So the Tula drill is what officers discovered a long time ago, that how much feet you need from a person trying to run to close the distance and attack you, you'd be able to pull your pistol out and shoot you.
How far is that?
21 feet.
Whoa.
They say you need at least 21 feet in order to pull your pistol. Someone who's reasonably trained.
Yeah.
If you're not trained at all, you might need more distance.
Sure, yeah.
So I have a guy stand at 21 feet, and I say, hey, when you see this guy start to go, his intention is to kill you, and he's already told you. So you can pull your pistol out at any time. And I told this lady, right, and she carries. She froze. She turned and like hit against the wall, and just my buddy Danny, the giant guy from Cottonwood.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you met Danny or not.
I don't think I have.
He's like 6'4", 320 pounds.
Shit, I remember him.
Starts running at you.
Yeah.
She just froze and crumpled. And like, all you have to do is pull your gun out and shoot him. She's like, I can't. I'm terrified.
Whoa.
Terrified in training.
Yeah.
But imagine a real life situation.
Dude, yes.
You're still not ready.
No.
And why do you carry a pistol? He's going to kill you and your whole family with your own gun.
You're with your own gun,
You have to train.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to get yourself involved in this type of training if you're going to carry a pistol.
Yeah, absolutely.
Situational. You can't have you have to have hyper awareness.
Yeah. Well, I love what you said about it being a tool. Like, just like a screwdriver, just like a hammer, just like anything else, you carry a weapon, it's a tool, right? You carry that dagger, it's a tool.
Yeah.
And if you don't learn how to do the tools, work the tools properly, you're just going to hurt yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Or hurt somebody that doesn't need to get hurt. So, yeah, that's important, man. How often do you do this training?
Right now I'm looking at about once a month.
Okay, and that's over at
anywhere.
At My Jiu Jitsu.
I can go anywhere. And
okay.
Do it. I have a whole kit. Me and my buddy Dave can show up with our whole class. I have a rigid little rolling box with all of my. I can serve as a class of 10 people. Every person will get their own pistol, their own concealable holster. I've got all the equipment for personal safety gear for you to have airsoft pistols for you to run training at your gym.
Wow.
And I can do it anywhere.
Okay, so what does it cost for like first responders or anything like that?
So right now everybody is $125. First responders is $100. And
that's good.
4.5 hours of training.
4.5 hours of training.
That's
great.
$100, $25 an hour.
That's
2 guys.
That's a no-brainer.
And it's only I limit it to 10 to 12 guys, so I can really watch where you're messing up. So whenever I teach a movement I think is complicated or it's kind of like in-depth movement, I say, all right, guys, go fuck it up. And then I got to walk around and show everybody what they're messing up. Same thing with this training. If you get grabbed from behind from the 9 o'clock position over or under the arms, there's different ways to get. So if you grab somebody under their arms, how do you deal with fighting their hands?
Yep.
They grab you over the arms. Oh, well, I keep my pistol in my front waistband.
Yep.
You can't get your pistol because your hands are smashed into your body.
And your shirt's over it.
Yeah, how do you get to your guns? So it's a lot of that stuff that you would never learn anywhere else. You can't do that at C2 Tactical.
Right.
Scottsdale Gun Club doesn't
Right.
teach this stuff.
And they don't let you draw from your holster anyway.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do?
And it's taught by guys with real world experience.
No, that's awesome, man.
With a resume to back up with what I'm showing you.
That's awesome. So how can people get a hold of you? How can people set up these trainings?
Oh,
everybody forgets their website. Don't worry about it.
No, if you go on the My Jiu Jitsu Addiction webpage, or you can find me on M1BJJAZ on Instagram. So the name Moist M1.
Yeah, where did that come from?
Is Moist One. That was my call sign in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
on my team would go in there and say, so my team was 9-1, and every MOS had a code. So if you were the team leader, you were the alpha. I'd say, hey, 9-1 alpha, this is 9-1 Moist.
Gotcha.
And you'd be like, go for alpha. I'm like, hey, whatever.
Yeah.
So if you had to call me, you'd be like, 9-1 Moist, 9-1 alpha. Like, go for Moist.
Yeah.
And because there was already 3 Bravos on my team. So when I showed up the team, there's already another guy who was about to go to selection for Delta.
Right.
Or for Orange, one of the two. And so it was 9-1 Bravo, 9-1 Bravo, 9-1 Bravo 2. I was going to be 9-1 Bravo 3.
Oh, I see.
I was like, no. Just call me 9-1 Moist. And the team leader was fucking down with calling me Moist. A guy named Rob.
Yeah.
And me and Rob had a good relationship with my first team leader. So if I ever saw a donkey on the side of the road, I'd be in the church. Hey, Rob, look at that donkey's dick over there. So it just Moist just stuck my whole time, and guys in the Army still now call me and say, hey, what's up, Moist? I'm like, what's up, motherfucker?
Oh, okay, all right.
So it's just and so my gamer tag online is Moist One.
Yeah.
And my kid's gamer tag is Mini Moist. So my jiu-jitsu is I call myself M1 BJJ.
Gotcha. M1.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just like the M1 Garand or the M1 Abrams or any other cool rifle that was the first model is the M1.
I love it.
So
yeah.
I'm M1 BJJ.
Awesome.
M1 BJJ AZ on Instagram. Yeah, I don't know. It's just pay attention to the website. It's not. We don't send out a blast email. It's all pretty much word of mouth. Yeah. And the classes fill up in 2 days.
Yeah. Yeah. That's something that I'm definitely going to look into, and I encourage everybody, whether or not you carry a firearm, do this training. Do this training for the situational awareness, and it'll make you. Gosh, man, it's one of those things that a lot of people, and I'm guilty of it too, that you don't realize how ugly the world can be until it happens to you.
Yeah, talk to your students who are officers. No, they see it every day. Firefighters see it every day.
Dude, I started a Twitter handle for the BJJ Foxcast. And Twitter decided to let me know how dangerous Arizona is. Because, dude, they sent I don't follow anybody. I don't ask for this shit. But they're sending me like beheadings. Like children children being left in dumpsters. Families like completely massacred all over Arizona. Bad thing, dude. Not only do I want to carry a gun in my hand, like it's really bad.
There's savages walk around us every day.
Yeah, man.
You don't know.
And we're talking like, I live in suburbia, Mesa. You know what I mean? Thinking I'm pretty safe. Mesa's pretty damn dangerous too.
You're
Holy shit!
Surrounded by animals.
Yes, dude. Yeah. So I mean, having this training. Get to I don't care if you do Krav Maga, Jiu Jitsu. I don't care what you do. Do something. Do something. And when I pump gas, like I start the pump and I stand behind my Jeep and I just look over my shoulders.
Yeah,
that's all I do. Yep. And thank you, Twitter.
Thanks for the heads up.
But I lived in this like fantasy land where nothing happens, dude, and it's like all around us, man. But listen, man, thank you so much for doing this.
My pleasure.
When I started this podcast, I knew I wanted to get you on. I knew you had a lot to say. And we didn't even really get into the things that you do for veterans and, things like that through jiu-jitsu. But I definitely want to point people in your direction. And, this was awesome. This was awesome. Thanks, man.
You're the man.
Hey, before we go, I got to ask you, I ask every first-time guest a list of lightning round questions.
Sure.
All right? And you got to answer these quickly. Okay. All right? These are quick fire questions. All right? So name a game show you think you could actually win.
Family Feud.
Favorite cheat meal?
Oh, Portillo's.
Ooh. What's the longest you've gone without brushing your teeth?
1 day.
Wow. What's your go-to karaoke song?
I don't sing karaoke.
Come on. Gun to your head, you got to do it. What would you go to? Just think of one.
Aha, Take on Me.
Ooh, nice. Nice. So just so you know, I do karaoke here at the house for parties. Take on Me.
Oh,
You're going up,
shit.
buddy. You're going up. All right. So what's a dumb song you secretly like?
Oh,
You would never play it in front of people, but you listen to that shit in your car and you know it.
oh God, I'll listen to Adele.
Adele? Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I'd listen to Adele. I'll share mine with you. Bootylicious.
Really?
Catchy, bro. It's catchy.
Yeah.
Bootylicious. All right. So do you kill bugs or yell for help?
Kill bugs.
Sleep in or nap?
Nap.
Would you rather travel into the future or go back in time?
Go back in time.
And what's your favorite child TV show?
He-Man.
Ooh, nice. That's the first person to ever say He-Man. I heard one guy said A-Team. I was like, holy shit, I remember that one. That was
He-Man,
good.
bro.
Yeah.
I was a kid in the 80s.
Same. Oh, 70s and 80s. But hey, Jeff, thanks for doing this, man. And we'll do this again soon, I hope. And dude, thank you for everything that you do. And I'll see you on the mats.
Appreciate you. You too.
All right. See you guys.
Bye, guys.